walking away from a commitment that they made.
See,
What did you say?
They say it's all because the city of Portland isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing.
School districts are facing,
that they're here today.
It's clear to me that teachers are a very important element of the budget, and getting the students to a school that doesn't have enough teachers is part of a bigger systemic issue. What I wanted to say is what's becoming clear to me is the allocation of these funds is not necessarily the limiting factor to the expansion of the program. It sounds to me like the 2/3, 1/3 program is something that might be cause for us to revisit at some point and see if it makes sense as a across our entire region kind of solution, or if we need to look at a more granular approach that might reconcile the differences between school districts within our region.
And I appreciate that. Food for another conversation. I think one of the things that the advisory committee asked us to do, in addition to looking at students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, is to also allocate those funds to the high schools that are located in the geographic areas that have the high concentrations of low-income individuals. So in the same way that we allocated funds for service expansion to geographic areas that have higher incidence of poverty, we'll be doing the same thing with the 1% allocation. So it will be targeted to those school districts that have the highest concentrations of
McFarland reneged on it.
Yep.
After Adams had made it.
Yeah, Adams was going to like.
So I
recall. Yeah, he was going to charge them to use the bus stops or something.
Yeah, he said, fine.
It would be helpful
no problem. I'll just up the fee for every bus stop you have to $250 per bus stop.
Per bus stop, per time the bus stops.
Yeah. All of a sudden, there was a great change of policy.
Right.
And so I think that would be helpful to
I was actually quite proud of Sam Adams on that one. That was
one of the few. A politician who had the guts to call him out and say, "Look, you made me look bad. Not only look bad, but you lied to me."
Right.
Just so that we have, what is the price tag, right? To kind of fully fund this at a better level, and then not related to schools. So if I can ask another different question,
they're going to keep going on and on.
In one of the slides, it will probably take about 5 years for all of the different service, stops and things like that to be fully implemented. That's a long time, I think, for to tell senior citizens in Gresham today, like, hey, you might have to wait a year. It might be 5 years. So do we have a better fleshed out timeline of those particular stops or service enhancement areas, and can we at least say to the community, okay, expect to see this a year from now? And I know design and all of that takes time, particularly if we're trying to also improve the actual construction of those stops.
Yes, we are working right now on the year-by-year phase-in of what bus lines would be improved when. Actually, we have to do that as part of our application to ODOT for the funds. Every bus line has a constituency that wants service as soon as possible. Unfortunately, it takes about 2 years from when you submit your order for a new bus to when it arrives.
I hope those people at that apartment complex are listening. It takes 2 years at the minimum to get a bus. Why would it take so long?
We're also constrained by how quickly we can hire operators and get them trained. It's a very tight labor market.
It's a very tight labor market, and they don't want to raise the salaries at all. I mean, they don't want to say $25 an hour to start and $40 is your max. That might change that, but no, the complex refuses to do that. It won't do that. Rather you be waiting at the curb for a bus that's not going to come than raise the salaries of the transit operators. That's the truth there.
So that's where we get the 5-year ramp up. And that 5-year ramp up allows us to have that triangle of funds to put into capital, because if it's taking 5 years to spend all the money, then what do you do with the money you receive during that time? So that's what we're proposing to do, is the funding we receive during that 5-year ramp up, we can't put into operations. We're going to put into improving bus stops and transit priority improvements and things like that.
Good discussion. I think maybe you're going to dust off some of these things that we went through a few years ago with this board on this very topic, which I want to also take Portland off the hook a bit, because I think we can also go back all the way to the energy tax credits that the state actually withdrew, which was really the funding for these programs to start out with. So it's gone from the state down to the city of Portland and us now, us and this. So there's been a lot of evolution and change in this. But the bottom line is, what you see if you put out a service or an opportunity, people like it, they want it, and they want it more. They don't care if the funding's gone away. They want it to be taken care of. So I think this is a ripe discussion. And back to your question, Director Way, is that every year we have to go through this.
Get going on this
hard trade-offs, and so there will be many more opportunities to have this dialogue. And the other final thing that comes to mind is, Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the next year's passes that go out to the Portland Public Schools, I assume, will be the hop cards. Am I correct?
Correct.
And with the hop cards, I think we're going to be able to gather a lot of information that we may not have had at our fingertips before, in terms of utilization, how it's being used, that can also maybe help us guide in terms of doing any program in the most efficient and effective way. So I'm really kind of excited about convergence.
It's interesting that they're running out the clock, because they essentially have to get out there around 12 o'clock.
With the hop card, not tracking individually, but on an aggregate level, it allows us to also understand usage, improve need and usage.
Interesting.
So not just, this is an area, my father was very actively involved in the school system for many years, and that was part of my table talk growing up, is the effectiveness of the spend, as opposed to just allocating dollars, which we don't know, we're assuming it's spent effectively. The question is who needs it and who uses it within the allocation. So I think there's an opportunity for effectiveness of deployment, not just dollar deployment.
Thank you. And a quick segue, I wanted to mention this. I've forgotten to mention this in the past, but this is really a note for future reports and more way to
isn't that
communicate.
something?
Could
Right.
you please jump us to slide number 7?
How effective is it going to be?
And this.
Now they're still going on about this. I mean, why are they going on about this?
The pie chart and the triangle. Sure. Just a note of clarification. The pie chart does a nice job of demonstrating the proportion of the split of funds. The triangle doesn't do such a good job. It's not proportional, and I just wanted to note, as we're showing proportions of breakdowns of budget, if it's not a bulleted list, if you're going to go with a shape, I'd appreciate a little bit of the proportional element to that, so that it's visually communicating, I think, the effect that you're intending. Good point. Thank you.
Well, with that, I think we've had a very thorough discussion.
Yeah, I would say so.
Questions down there? Okay. This is an item I believe we really do need to take action on today in order to get this into the state, so we don't lose, I think somebody said, 6 months worth of funding. So knowing it's not perfect, then we're going to be going through this every on an annual basis from here on out, and have another further discussion, I assume, about this maybe at our retreat, and also when we start getting into the budget for next fiscal year. Is there a board member willing to offer a motion to approve Resolution 18-72? Motion. Do I have a second?
Bench down. Everyone's going to approve it.
Look down there to Director Bauman as the second on this one. Further discussion?
Oh, come on. Move it to what everybody's wanting to hear.
I just want to make a comment
Jesus.
that, I'm very glad that our state legislature passed House Bill 2017.
Yeah, you're heck glad.
A large transportation package.
Taxpayers aren't glad.
Trimet
should have gone to a vote.
We have an obligation, right, to deliver to the community what they would like to see in terms of, traffic problems, congestion.
So
equity.
far, they've failed at every single one of those
this is a very
issues.
important vote for us,
Giving them more money is not going to give you anything but more problems.
I'm just saddened to hear that some of the service enhancement areas will not be fully, rolled out until 5 years or more. I think that is concerning.
The greatest
and I don't think that
scam of all
builds a lot
time is
trust,
government.
knowing
It's even
that,
a bigger
some of these
scam than
needs are
religion.
urgent and probably immediate. And I'm still also sad that the youth transportation is still at 1%. So I just want to express
she doesn't like that.
just
I don't
those two
blame her for
things.
that
But I think overall, I've been to some of the open houses and have sat through the DOT activities where people were placing their priorities, and I think you guys have done a really great job with community engagement so far, considering just how big of a project this is. So thank you.
Yeah, 40 people per meeting.
I share those concerns as well.
They just won't get to the part of the meeting that everybody's waiting for. They're just going to make us sit here.
We do have that flexibility. So I think that's important to remember.
Oh boy, thank you.
Can you see how many people are actually there?
No.
And hearing no more questions or comments. All those in favor then of the motion to approve.
I mean, the motion was going to be approved unanimously anyway.
Please signify by saying aye.
You never know. Ready?
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion is approved unanimously. Let's move on to
After all of that.
Resolution 3. I'm having a request here for maybe a little break. How about we take 10 minutes?
Now they're going to take a break for 10 minutes?
Of our agenda, all right? Thank you. Good call. Thank you.
Now the fucking assholes are going to take a break.
It's been for 3 hours.